Sound check. Sound check. Sound check. Dennis Kiprono, sound sasa, audio iko sync na video. Dennis Kiprono naona ako ndani. Is the sound now okay? Do we have sync? Awesome. At least now we have a good sync. So welcome to Konnekt Live Wednesday Drive. Poleni sana for that hitch. Sometimes these machines zinaweza leta mashida mingi sana. Before we left, we were talking about the Isuzu FRR feeling the pressure, or rather Isuzu feeling the pressure with all these Chinese trucks. And I said, yes, the pressure is real. The market is tipping, because at the end of the day, whatever makes sense is what makes sense to the end user. Sawa sawa. Charles Ngei, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. So I think we can proceed with the questions. If there are questions I had missed, tafadhali, you can re-ask them. And because of that, we are going to push our live session towards at least the end. Innocent Mugabe from Uganda is saying, Toyota Carina TI, my road as first-time car owner, cheaper than Premio Nyoka. Carinas were actually very underrated vehicles. And the good thing about Carinas is, you see, they are not in very high demand. They are not stolen as much as Premios would, the Premio Nyokas, but they are in the same family, sort of. There is a very complex relationship between the Toyota Corona, which graduated to become the Corona Premio and then Premio, the Toyota Carina, the Toyota, there's the Carina and the Toyota Caldina. So ziko na a very complex relationship. So Kisozu Joshua is saying, between Honda Stepwagon and Nissan Serena 2018 model, which one would you recommend? And today the Ugandans are here. By the way, to everyone who is watching, Kisozu Joshua is a Ugandan car dealer. He's a Ugandan importer, and we do work together, especially to reach the East African market at large. And he's a person who loves driving from Mombasa to Nairobi. And very soon we are doing something with him. So do stay tuned. So Kisozi Joshua, the Honda Stepwagon beats the Serena 8-0. Not unless you're talking about the Serena e-Power, not the S hybrid. The e-Power versus Stepwagon. Well, the Stepwagon is more expensive. So in terms of value, the Serena e-Power might make sense. However, the Stepwagon has been tried and tested. Honda's reliability compared to Nissan reliability, Honda scores very highly when it comes to reliability. Dennis Kiprono is saying, is Allion 1.8 manual transmission version in the market? No, unfortunately, we didn't have Toyota Allions that had a manual transmission. Jesse Ngeno is saying, evening Eric, I've seen vehicles with Twin Star badge. What do they mean? Twin Star is actually, Twin Star is more of a dealer. Yeah, so wanawekanga hiyo badge hapo. Pat Wanjao is saying, why are Nissan Avance and yes, I was looking for this question. Pat Wanjao is saying, why are Nissan, why are the Nissan Avan and Caravans around Kiambu town Mingi almost outshining the Sharks in the Mathri side? So the Caravan, that generation of the Toyota Shark, wachana na hii NV350 na wachana na ile ingine ilikuwa inakuja na ZD30, ile ilikuwa inaitwa nguruwe. Those earlier Caravans and Homies they were actually Uvans, Caravans, Homies. They were very reliable, by the way, and they even outshone the Sharks in their generation, especially in flat areas. You know, there are some phenomena that you might not be able to explain fully. If you look at Kiambu, if you look at Mombasa, if you look at Kawangware. Um, those are routes that still heavily depend on the caravans. If you go now to their later siblings, the NV350, the NV350 with the YD25 engine is very quick. It has a lot of torque, and it is largely used still in relatively flat areas. Ile route ya Voi Mombasa, although uko inakuwa outshined na Toyota Hiace commuter, but pande ya Lodwar there are so many NV350s. I'm planning to do a documentary on why those Lodwar guys really prefer the NV350 over the Toyota Hiace. That's something that is also coming up, and that's why I was looking forward to this question. Karati Shilo is saying, are car manufacturers making broiler vehicles in the name of fuel efficiency? The new engines are very sensitive. To be honest, yes, we are in the era of broiler vehicles, unfortunately, because of climate, emissions, trying to get so much power from small engines. We are happy to be a generation that has witnessed, and I always say millennials are lucky because we have been here during the carburetor era, we have been here during the EFI era, the VVTI era, the hybrid era, and now the electric era. Uh, top top image graphics anasema, hi, is there higher trims of the J95 and the J120s like the VXL and Kakadus? Yes, they are there. Real TBT Kenya anasema Caribs are nice vehicles, by the I long to have one. Caribs are beautiful vehicles. Paul Kimemi is saying, hi CK, is it true cars used in Mombasa have corrosion issues? Scientifically, yes, especially if it has not been taken care of. It will have some serious corrosion issues. Josh Homan is glad to be here. Thank you so much, Josh Homan, for joining us on this live broadcast. Kevin Obuya is saying, hello, Mr. Wakabi. I got a T31 manual with a mileage of 176k and 1 point. Kindly advise before I pick it on Tuesday. T31 manual, nunua gari baba. Hiyo nunua T31 manual perfect vehicle. Nunua hiyo gari bro. Mkulima is saying, hello Wakabi, what engine oil is recommended for the GRX 120 for GR FSE, and for what is the capacity of the transmission fluid? No, the engine oil will on the GRX 120, that's a fairly old car, so imesonga. So it should be anywhere between 5W30 to 10W up. It can take over that viscosity will be good with it. In terms of transmission fluid, I would have to check the capacity. I don't have it on top of my mind, but I think it should be what I know. I will have to check it. Wacha niseme kitu hapa nikudanganye ama nikwambie kitu that is not correct. So, but engine oil between 5W40 to 10W, to any 10W would be fine for the GRX 120. Mkulima is saying, Chilsam is saying, hey Eric, somebody told me that the Mitsubishi Pajero is better than the Prado. Kuna ukweli ama in this statement? To be honest, better is relative. But the Pajero just has more power. But to be honest, you'd rather go for the Prado, and I'll give you for the reasons. You see, the 4M41 engine is a good engine, very powerful, but the maintenance on it can be quite intensive. You see, if you were to subject a Pajero to like a campaign, being like a campaign vehicle in a beba sound uko juu, and the jobs that Prados do, it might not give you. You see, the Prado has better fuel economy compared to the Pajero. That is something I'll say without the shadow of a doubt. The chassis, the Pajero is more comfortable, and that is because it has more of a hybrid between a body on frame and a monocoque chassis. So in terms of comfort and handling, it is superior. But all the other things, the Prado is better. Innocent Mugabe is saying, Eric Wakabi is a celebrity here in Kampala, especially to the car enthusiasts. Asante sana. Tutakuja huko Innocent na Kisozi Joshua very soon. Mulwa Harrison is saying, hello bro, you said people should avoid T32 in a previous Uh, no. Mulo, actually, let me tell you something. You see, the T32 actually does not need a cooler. The way that transmission is designed, it does not need a transmission oil cooler. What I said for the T31s. T31's oil cooler works perfectly. But this generation of the T32, it does not necessarily need a cooler. And the problem with that gearbox is not even the temperatures. The problem with that CVT is one, the what is it called? The pressures. Actually, it's not the pressure. The problem is the valve body because the machining is so precise. It doesn't have so much room for what do I call it? Doesn't have so much room for error. So that is what makes this gearbox is very problematic. Most of the time, gearbox T32 kiharibu gearbox, the problem will emanate from the valve body. Na naweza taka ufanye hiyo research. Moses, who repairs CVT gearboxes, is one of the Nissan specialists I know who have vastly looked at that gearbox. Then the other thing you should note is that the gearbox on the T32 non-hybrid is very different from the gearbox on the T32 hybrid, the S hybrid, because the S hybrid shida hiyo gearbox haikuangi kwa valve body, mostly inakuanga kwa a shaft that is responsible for the power split between the motor and the engine. So T32's oil cooler is not a primary need. The problem is with the valve body. And that is why as it gets older and ikienda kwa higher temperatures, your valve body expand kidogo, you start having pressure problems. So it's the T31 oil cooler, transmission oil cooler will work perfectly. T32 is a different story. So tumeelewana hapo Mulwa. Miss, asante sana Miss kwa kucheza na super chat. Between a used Dualis and an RVR, which one would you recommend as a first time car between 2010 and 2013 models? I would definitely go for an RVR. Dualis is cheaper, but the RVR will give you better value. RVR will give you better value and less problems. Dualis, Pandia gearbox, fuel consumption, sometimes the engine mountings. I don't know why Dualis is notorious for katakata mounting, suspension, sometimes gearbox issues, especially with the overheating. So I will tell you, the RVR is more expensive, but it will give you more value, especially if you get a clean one. David Kamau Minor is saying the manual 76 series 1GD or the 1HD is the greatest gift for off-roaders from Toyota. I saw some people cruising that car from Kenya to Europe. That tells you how it was engineered to last. Yes, 1GD is actually an underrated engine. And most people are skeptical about having it on the 79, but it is indeed an engine that is very, very capable and very economical on fuel. In the Land Cruiser lineup, the only missing piece of the jigsaw was an economical engine. And the 1GD had the power of a 1VD plus the fuel economy of a 2-liter engine. Yeah, so that's the best combination ever. Harmless Level is saying, hello Eric, for a person who wants to venture into the car importation business, kindly advise on taxes and how importation works. Well, Harmless Level, one thing I'll tell you that it's not a business I would discourage you from getting into. In fact, it's a business I would encourage you to get into, but you need to do a few things right. One, you need to identify good suppliers in Japan. Number two, you need to have a good shippers network. Number three, ukumbuke hii ni pesa ya wenyewe. In fact, that is the most tricky bit about direct importation. You're dealing kwa pesa ya wenyewe. You do not want to mess up with somebody else's money. That's the last thing you want to do. So ukumbuke hii ni pesa ya watu. So if you're starting that business, know that handling people's money, you do not want to make mistakes. So starting off, hakuna hakukosangi one two mistakes you make and you get to learn from them, but start by, hata usianze na kwenda auction, hapana. Auctions are for the experienced people. Start by getting dealer stocks from guys like SBT, B Forward, and all those guys. Yes, you will not have very good margins. Plus, also, you will not have, your prices will not be very competitive, but you will be able to learn the process before you can now start venturing into the auctions. MFAM is saying thoughts on the 2018. No, Kenyan Mafia is saying about the Demio diesel and the Prius comparison. Can the 2016 Honda Fit be a better buy in terms of reliability and maintenance? Yes, actually, the non-hybrid would be, but now you will sacrifice the thrill of driving, and again, it's not very quick. So thrill of driving na hiyo nguvu, you will compromise it. MFAM is saying thoughts on the 2018 Peugeot 508. It's slowly getting visibility in the Kenyan market. Is it worth it? If so, what is the drivetrain? You see, the 508 has been in the Kenyan market for quite some time. It's only that people have not been buying it aggressively. It started making its way into the Kenyan market quite early with NTSA bringing their vehicles, and those were the initial, and they were zero mileage. But hizi za mtumba zimeanza kuingia Kenya around the first one I saw from the foreign news market, an imported one from Japan, was around the year 2019 thereabout. Yes, around 2019, and it was a very new car. Zimekuwa but hazijakuwa mingi. Guys like PRG have been selling them, but they now is the time they are gaining some traction. Sababu hata sasa naziona zikitoka toka Mombasa. I'm seeing a few dealers with them. They are good. The 1.6 liter petrol is not bad. They would be a good alternative for the Atenza, for the people who would prefer a European vehicle. So yeah, it's not a bad car, but we'll get used to it as time goes by. Pia watu wanamenunua sana zile zilikuwa za NTSA, the XGK ones. I have seen guys have really bought them after they were disposed. People really took advantage. Gari zilikalia watu after they were disposed from the police were the Nissan Patrols, the GUs. Hizo zimekalia. Hata kuna zingine zinakuanga pale Roaka. They have been in the market for the last 3 years. Daniel Andama is saying, why is Kenya not importing Mahindra Thar? It can be a good substitute for the Jimny because it has even the 2.2 liter diesel. Daniel, no, the Thar is actually a very capable off-roader, a very good alternative to the Jimny, but the Thar is very pricey, and then it is also not very easy to find, especially in the used car market. Where they are mostly, si watu wengi wanaziuza, and you cannot find a Thar in Japan. The only place you will find a Mahindra Thar for import is either from South Africa, and there are not many, but they are also very rare in SA. But in India and the UAE, they are quite common. So the only problem with the Thar is a very good car. Actually, it's probably one of the best Indian made vehicles in present day, but scarcity is why the vehicle is not coming into Kenya. In Kenya, zile Thar najua, I think I only know one. I know one Mahindra Thar. Peter Waruguru is saying, hi Wakabi, what do you think of the Honda CR-V 2005 in terms of reliability and fuel consumption? Reliability good. You only have to check the rear suspension. Sabu after a while miguu kaa hivi because of that multi-link suspension setup at the rear. Fuel consumption not very good. Benjamin Barasa is saying, what is the difference between a J120 and a J150, and which is the best for a first-time car owner? Benjamin, the difference between a J120 and a J150 is massive. It's the J150 is the predecessor to the J120 is the predecessor to the J150. So meaning this is a totally different model of vehicle. If you're a first-time car owner and you have the budget, buy a J150 because it's much newer, and buy a clean one for that matter. Buy a clean diesel one. Petrol utapiga nduru sawa sawa. It's slow and it guzzles up a lot of fuel. Pia if you get a diesel imechokorwa, parts of a Prado parts are actually quite expensive. The master cylinder, the brake, in fact, the brake booster for the J120, the brake booster for the J150, they are going for almost the same price, around 150,000 to 170,000. Yeah, so a J150 would be best because it's newer, but get a clean one and get a diesel one. Clean diesel J150, depending on your budget. David Kamau Maina is saying T31 manual, the best affordable, reliable car to have. Buy the T31 manual. Somebody asked about the T31 manual, and I would comfortably say buy the T31 manual. Munene Official is saying F30 N20 engine. How would you advise for a BMW lover willing to learn how to live with it? And is it possible to get a clean one in Kenya? F30 N20 engine is a good combination. For BMW enthusiasts, yes, you can get it. You can get it. I have no problem with it. It's possible to get a clean one. You only have to be a bit patient. Dibroman TV saying, what is the fuel economy of Alexa's RX 450 2010? Woo-wee. I hope you're talking about not very good. It's definitely a sub 10 because even the RX 450H, the hybrid one, is still around there 10, 11 kilometers to the liter. That's for the hybrid. So if you're talking about the non-hybrid, it's sub 10, definitely. Jen Yi here is saying, hey Eric, please do a review of the 2018 Mazda CX-5 petrol. Jen Yi here, it's actually there. It's on the channel. Ukienda pale kwa channel utaona Mazda CX-5 Proactive. We drove it from Mombasa to Nairobi, so the review is actually there. Dedan Kegesa is, but the 2018 CX-5 petrol is a good car. It has no problems. But if you the 2 liter, yes, it's a bit lazy, and lazy is relative because some people find it fast. It will not give you any problems. If you want some thrill kidogo, go for the 2.5 liter petrol. It will give you some driving thrill, and the fuel economy on this CX-5 is not very bad. Even the 2.5 liter petrol, it will still give you around 12 kilometers to the liter. Yeah, so if I would the 2 liter is perfect, especially if it's a point A to point B vehicle, and if you don't really mind driving a 2 liter, but if kama wewe ni mtu unapenda speed na that a little bit of performance, 2.5 will do. I remember there was a time, if you follow me on social media, there's a time we took a CX-5 to Lake Ellis with a 2.5 liter. Most all-wheel drive. Most people say do gari itafika, na ilifika vizuri sana. So my friend and I have a friend who is called, if you social media on Instagram, aitwa DC Nomad. So we were on that excursion with him. Tulitoka naye na Nyuki, na he drives a Hilux. And these are true story. Si stories za jaba. He drives a diesel Hilux. And to be specific, a manual one. Now by the time we were getting to Thika, because he lives in Thika, that petrol CX-5 had shown him bad things. That was before the speed cameras and those things came up. So do not underestimate petrol CX-5s as well. So Jenniha, it's a good car. Petrol CX-5s will not give you any problems. Denard Kagesa is saying, in the German brands between Mercedes, BMW, VW, Porsche, Audi, in your experience, which one can you say it's reliable? Well, amongst all these, there are models, each of them has some reliable models. So you can't say that each of them has some reliable and unreliable models. So you'd have to get to the specifics. But basically, because VW wako na gari fiti sana na wako na zingine zinasumbua. Same case na Audi, same case with Mercedes, same case with BMW. So we would have to get to specifics. Zeus Bruce is saying, Mr. Okabi, I have 2 Peugeot old schools. Can I get spare parts to Uganda? Who would you recommend to help me outsource the spare parts from Uganda. So, Bruce, which Peugeots do you have? We can actually help you with that. Our WhatsApp number is +254 720. Mewapatia ingine. So Bruce, let me pin the number for you, the number that you're going to use. Just drop me a WhatsApp. We are going to ensure that those parts get to Uganda. So that's you can drop me a WhatsApp number there. +254 0710 844 863, and I've pinned it so you can give us you can drop us a text there. Okay. So Bruce, we can talk on WhatsApp via that number. Kevin Muturi is saying that Lexus access from this. Kevin, you're going, you're hitting the nail on the head. Jenny Hai is saying, I don't really mind driving a 2 liter, point A to point B. And yes, Jenny Hai is actually, the 2 liter will suit you best. You're nasema hiyo ni tick. Antis Mons is saying, in the subcompact family car segments in Kenya, which one vehicle that I usually feel is usually left behind? Renault Duster. Most are usually very good manual cars. Yeah, Renault Dusters are actually very, I would say they are underrated. Hizo gari si mbaya. Ni vile tu ziko na jina mbaya. I remember ule mworo wa Prince Drive akiuliza mtu ati unanunua gari inaitwa Duster. But to be honest, especially the guys who bought them zero mileage, they have really served them. Those Dusters have really served them. Especially the manual ones, I can say they were underrated. Mulu Harrison is saying, thanks for the clarification. Which are the competitors of the Suzuki S-Cross, and which one would you advise me to go for in that category? I would say the closest competitor to the S-Cross is the Subaru XV. And if you were to compare those two cars, the S-Cross might win in terms of fuel economy, but the XV will win in terms of looks and the general build quality. So, but both of them are good cars. So the closest competitor to the S-Cross is the XV. Sawa. So I hope that is clear. Dedan Kigesa is saying, BMW X1, what's your take on it in terms of reliability? It depends on which engine it runs on, but I will continue saying BMWs need a lot of love and care, and you have to find a very good BMW mechanic. Other than that, ukibahatisha na hiyo gari itakupiga kiboko sawa. Damo is saying, what's your view on the Toyota Surf old model? Which particular one? There are so many Surf old models, but generally Surfs are good cars, only that the petrol ones don't have very good fuel economy. Stephen Morevi is saying, hello Wakabi, how is fuel economy for Auris 1.8 hybrid? Would you recommend it for town errands? Yes, I would recommend it for town errands. The Auris hybrid is something, it's quite a good car. And the hybrid systems are also very simple. And one thing about Toyota hybrid systems is that even if something was to go wrong, you can change individual cells. And okay, Toyota in those models, primarily, apart from a few, with the exception of a few, Toyota uses the nickel hydride batteries. The nickel hydride batteries are good in this way. They can be repaired, especially, and you can switch individual cells. The disadvantages of them is that they are heavy and they don't have an internal self-balancing mechanism. Now, Honda, on the other hand, uses lithium-ion batteries. Lithium-ion batteries are lighter, they can discharge deeply, and they can last longer. But now you cannot fix them as you would fix a nickel hydride battery. So for Toyota, I would say the Auris 1.8 hybrid. It was not okay. And maybe Stephen, I would like to know which Auris 1.8 hybrid. Is it the mild hybrid or the full hybrid? That is something I need to know. Ahmad Nasser saying, my CX3 2018 consumption is 8 kilometers too high. Ahmad, is it the petrol or the diesel? I would like to know that. Pat Wanjao is saying, tell us about electric buses in Kenya and bearing in mind air suspension, their weight, and how they handle abuse of AMA 3. Pat Wanjao, actually, those buses have been handling the town service very well. They have held up quite nicely. Personally, I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. Even to the guys who own them, they are owned on a leasing kind of arrangement. So they are making sense. They are really making sense to their owners. So in the very near future, we will start seeing a shift. Sababu sasa naona zinafika hadi Thika and even Keno. So to the matatu owners, electric within town is starting to make a lot of sense. And also the leasing model makes more sense because it shifts a lot of liability from you as a matatu owner. So the very, the only problem with Kenya is that we resist change. There's a lot of resistance to change, but once people get to learn them and get to understand, get to waone venye hazina, you get to earn more and also have a lower level of liability, they'll start making sense. Kim Renard is saying individual sales, see, they go for 8K each ama. In a depend is a gari gani, but there are some I know that go for 4,500 Kenya shillings. Justin Sereti, bro, ni Justin from Kampala. I was saying my car consumes oil, sometimes lose power and smokes. I doubt if my spark plugs. Should I do an overhaul? Subaru SG5. If it consumes oil, it's time for an engine overhaul. But before you go for the engine overhaul, check the valve seals. You need to check the valve seals. If the valve seals are okay, but to be honest, it's time for, considering it's an SG5, so probably the age of an SG5, the mileage is also kula mileage. So I think you would be looking at an engine overhaul very soon, especially if it's consuming a lot of oil. Consumption of oil means mostly somehow oil is getting to the combustion chamber, and that's why the vehicle smokes. So before you go all the way to the valve seal, to the engine overhaul, first of all, check the valve seals. Once, if the valve seals are okay, then do an engine overhaul. Sawa sawa. I think that's okay. Is that okay, Sebo? Ahmad Nasser is saying petrol 663 is petrol 2000 cc. Ahmad, check the spark plugs. Mostly it would be an issue with the spark plugs. If you have not replaced them, make sure you replace with genuine Mazda spark plugs. If you have not been using genuine Mazda spark plugs, then there's definitely going to be a problem. Ginny Hai is saying, if I source the 2018 CX5 from you, how much does it, 2.5, 2 liter, how much does it go for? Now, Jen, currently we can only source at 2019, since 2018 vehicles are not being imported because of the 8-year rule. So Faith, what you can do is, and they come in several streams, and that might affect pricing, also the mileage factor. So I would suggest, Jane, if you can drop us a text on this WhatsApp number that is pinned, we would get to have like a very good conversation on this, and we'll be able to have the way forward. Kim is saying, seems Toyota is better for hybrid then. Well, yes and no. I would say Honda would be best, especially from 2019. Honda should be best because if you can recall, the 2014 to 2019, there was a period where the most Honda hybrids were running on a dual clutch transmission that was sometimes problematic. But from 2020, for the insights from 2019, they got rid of the dual clutch transmission and now started using an ECVT. Now Honda has a hybrid gearbox and has like an ECVT, a reliable gearbox and a very reliable hybrid system. So if you were to ask me, Toyota hybrids are not bad, but post 2020 Hondas might be better because of the lithium ion battery and also the ECVT as well. So them and Toyota, they have a slight advantage over the Toyota counterparts. Isaiah Aizo is saying, hi Kuzo Justo. Okay, Jaila. Andrew Sergio is saying, the modified cold air intake, can I put on my 110? Yes, you can get it. Stephen Murray is saying, Auris 1.8 full hybrid, since it's supposed to be used mostly in town errands and a road trip once in a while. Yeah, it's a good car. It's a good buy. Nordic Golf Bear saying, is the Toyota CHR 2017 manual transmission a good car? I have not seen a CHR manual. I have not seen us, to be honest, I have not seen one. I would love to see one if they are there, but I've not seen a CHR manual. I've not seen a Toyota CHR with a manual transmission, but it would be a very interesting car for it to have a manual trans on it. It is possible to, well, I would need to, but I've not seen a CHR with a manual transmission. I have not driven one, so I cannot say much about it. Dedan Kegesa is saying, what's your take on the Mercedes starting to use BMW engines as from next year? That happens a lot in the car world. You see, it's too expensive to do some research and development on a whole new engine. So most of the times it's usually cheaper to ask for an engine from another manufacturer to use on your cars. We have Mazda is using a RAV4 drivetrain on one of their, I think it's a CX-50. So it's very common. We have the new Toyota Supra is running on a BMW engine. What else? There are a few vehicles that the borrowing engines is the Nissan running on Mercedes-Benz engines. The Mercedes-Benz X-Class double cab is actually a Nissan Navara. So these are very common practice in the car world. Collins Muriel is saying, hello, Okabi, what's your advice about a Suzuki Swift Sport as a first-time car in terms of reliability and fuel economy? It's a good car. Charles Commander, hi Eric, what's the better option between Toyota Isis 2000cc D4 and the Wish 1800cc? Any day, anytime. Brimark Investment is saying, Mazda CX-8 diesel all-wheel drive or Volvo XC60 diesel all-wheel drive. Upgrade from a Golf Mark 7 variant. I would advise for a prop, since you're in the European category, Volvo XC60 will make more sense, especially that diesel will be very exciting to drive. Karati is saying, how is the performance of Volvos? A friend just bought one. They are quite good. Volvos are really nice cars. Isaiah Aizo is saying, Wakabi, tell us about hybrid kukwama anywhere because of lack of traction. Nilikwama na fielder on a very open place, kama topenomo fielder ingepita mbio. First of all, tires, angalia tires ziko namna gani. Yes, Kisozi Joshua actually said CHR manuals are there in the UK, very many, but you cannot get in Japan. Yeah, I personally, Kisozi, thank you for the heads up. I have never seen a CHR manual, and most of the times, there are CX-5 manuals. I've seen a CX-5 manual imported from the UK, and not a diesel, a petrol. So, but they are very rare. So same case as the CHR. So thank you, Kisozi, for the heads up. Charles Commander is saying thank you. Muthe Cairo is watching from Saudi Arabia. I'm playing with M-Pesa there. Asante sana, Muthe Cairo. Nashukuru sana. We are very happy. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Pole sana, the first streams had a problem, but we saw on Sindio. So kama hujawatch ile episode ya Land Cruiser, it is there on the channel. Kindly watch it if you're a Land Cruiser diehard. Deep Broman TV is saying, what is the best price range for Toyota Celica 7th generation when sourcing a clean one? Celica prices are funny because you find that there are two types of Celicas in the market. Extremely clean ones and zenye zimetumika vibaya. Most of the extreme clean ones will have crazy prices. because they are, and you see, they are also, you'll find that there are selly cars that are non-performance selly cars and they are the performance selly cars. So the prices can sometimes be very good or exaggeratively expensive. So first of all, check what is the market, because to be honest, you can't say, it's not like a clean premium that you will say sells for this amount, because selly cars are actually very sentimental to the guys who own them. Uh, Mbirithi Mithanga is saying, hey, Okabi, about the Peugeot 208, I have a friend who recommended locally used ones. Brother, usinunue Peugeot 208 locally used, especially 2014 to 2015. Those ones had the semi-automatic robotized gearbox. Hizo locally used, not unless you find an extremely clean one, but if you're buying a 208, tafadhali, just get a foreign used one. Titus Nugire is saying, compare a Hilux double cab SR5 or GR trim, which primarily priced and a similarly priced. No, you see, the SR5 of the version of the Hilux, first of all, is not a very high trim, and it's a trim from Australia. It's not very well spec'd. GR is higher in the hierarchy of Hiluxes. But you see, if you're comparing a Hilux to a Prado, then I would say, first of all, is to identify what you need. Because what a Prado offers and what a Hilux offers, these are two very different vehicles. And I'll explain why. One of them is a pickup, the other one is an SUV. That is one. Number two, they might have the same engine, the 2.8 liter 1GT, but the power output is different. The torque is different. The Prado is designed for comfort. The Hilux is designed for work and practicality. So you see, you will need to sit down and actually get to decide, what do I really want and what am I using the vehicle for? Because those are two vehicles that have very different characteristics. Emmanuel Gitonga, okay, Elijah M is saying, Master KVK saying, can I get a car with my M-Pesa limit? I mean, yes, cars are there. There is a person who has there is a friend of mine with a very clean Nissan Sunny, a KAT, very clean. He's selling it for 280,000 Kenya shillings. Your M-Pesa limit is 500,000 Kenya shillings. And I'm sure the way that vehicle is maintained is a vehicle that will serve you for the next 3 years without having any major problems. Elijah M is saying, Eric, I saw the CX5 anniversary edition. It was awesome. My question is it a bit different from the normal one? There are a few differences here and there, but you see, with these anniversary vehicles, they won't have like very big differences. They will only have some unique aspects that make you feel that this is a special edition. Emmanuel Gitonga is saying, hey Eric, Harrier Turbo XC60 diesel or Lexus NX200T. You see now the XC60 is a very superior vehicle. In fact, XC60 is the superior vehicle there. The Lexus NX200T, good car, but the XC60 stands out in terms of safety, in terms of performance, in terms of build quality. The XC60 stands out. Charles Commander is saying, is Toyota Pasosetti a good car? Yes, it is a good car. Dibroman TV is between Mazda Miata convertible and MR2. Which one should I go for and why? Miata versus MR2. The MR2 is a mid-engine convertible. The Miata is a front engine, but there were very few of them that came with a Wankel engine. Remember, these are enthusiasts' cars. They are cars for extreme enthusiasts, for motor vehicle purists. I think it should not be a question of, since these are enthusiast vehicles, it's not a question of which one should I go for. It's a question of where does your heart belong. Which are you looking for performance? Are you looking for elegance? Because with these ostentatious cars, you don't look at you don't look at reliability, you don't look at fuel economy. No, there are other things that you're looking for. Uh, it's you see, an MR2 or a Miata is not a basic mobility need. That is a want. That is beyond basic. So that's why I say it's like somebody asking between a Range Rover autobiography and maybe which other car and a Bentley, which one they should go for. You know, now these are ostentatious cars, and they say when it comes to goods of ostentation, it's not about, it's about more, it's more of an emotional satisfaction kind of thing. And you see, this can only be satisfied by the choices you make. So you need to understand both cars first and understand them very well. Emmanuel Gitonga is saying, how about between the BMW X3 diesel and the Volvo XC60? I would still go for the XC60 because of reliability, of the reliability aspect. So tuko pamoja. I am very happy that I hope this has been a very insightful session. It's around 9:30. Kesho, tomorrow is that day. Okay, so guys, I'll make sure you stay safe, take care of yourself, take care of your cars as you head out tomorrow. Maintain safety. I think most people have been encouraged to stay at home. So if you do not, kama hauna, if it's not, kama si lazima utoke. Sawa sawa. So thank you so much, and thank you for joining me on this live broadcast. Nashukuru sana. Elijah is saying more review, Eric. Elijah, tutaongea the Broman TV. So thank you so much, and have a good night, guys. We'll see you next Wednesday, same time, same place.